Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Kayak Bass Live on a Tuesday night. It is 7:09. I'm according to my clock here, and I am running late. But it's all good. It's another night, and if we're typically late. Granted, we shouldn't have too many hiccups here. But thank you for tuning in. I got a pair of glasses on now. Looks like I'm going blind with old age. Technically, I could get away with not wearing them, but let's save my eyesight for as long as we can. Reminder, everybody go over to Instagram and give us a follow and use the hashtag Kayak Bass Live for a chance to be featured on the webcast, which is kind of goofy. Do it like I've been doing at Fisherman's Warehouse and bring it up on my phone. And what's going on here? Oh, it looks like Instagram didn't update. It's not what I wanted. Let's see if I can do this. Kayak Bass Live. 210 posts. Wow, people are tagging us. This is pretty cool. I haven't really checked this in a while. Let's see. All right, here's a good one. That's not one of mine. We got one from Adam Bombach here, Mr. Papa Chops. He tagged us on Instagram. You can see this. Way to go, Adam. Nice little fish you got there. Caption says, went looking for striper over the weekend. We found a big school of nothing but dink, so we switched to bass fishing. We whacked them good, though. 30-plus fish for each of us, all around this size. And a bunch of hashtags to follow. All right, shout out to Adam Bombach. Look, you guys can see the reflection of my screen in the window. But it's all good. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you got any questions or comments, whatever, leave them in. Be sure to give us a like and a share and make sure you comment. Tag all your buddies. Let them know you're watching. It helps us grow and let everybody know what we're up to. Spreading the love of kayak bass fishing across the nation. So that is that. We have a couple of results. I'll go over here real quick from across the nation. There aren't a whole lot of tournaments going on as we are kind of transitioning into the wintertime. And kayak fishing isn't necessarily conducive to fishing in the cold and wet weather. And if you live in the north where you have hard water and it freezes, you can't really kayak anyways. You can sled with your kayak, I guess, across the water. But anyway, so East Texas Kayak Fishing had a tournament out at Perky or Brandy Branch, something like that. It was a Howe benefit tournament. Patrick Malone won that with 69 inches, and the big fish with the Jeffrey Tyson with a 22.25-inch fish. Massachusetts Kayak Bassin had a tournament at Lake Sabatia, Sabbatia. If you're from Massachusetts and watching, I apologize, but I don't know. Bruce Levy, or Levi, 79.5 inches with a big fish of 19.75, won that. And there was a KBF trail at Lake Cumberland, Kentucky. The win went to Brandon Sorg with 82 inches and a big fish of 20 inches. Like I said, remember to like, share, comment, tag a friend, all that good stuff for an opportunity to win a Fisherman's Warehouse gift card, which is good for all three of our locations. So Manteca, the mother store where I work. We have the Sacramento store where Alan Fawn works. And the store in San Jose, and it also works online for fishermanswarehouse.com. So if you do not live here in Northern California, you actually can use it to make an order there. $10, I think is what I'm going to be doing. I'm not really sure. I might step it up, but we'll see. Depends on how many people share, and I may increase it a little bit. But like, share, tag a friend, comment, interact, ask questions, all that good stuff, and it lets people know that you're watching and helps us spread the love of kayak bass fishing across the nation. So with that, we will do the giveaway at the end for the people who shared and everything last week. At the very end. With that, I'm going to go to a little blurb, a little video from Fisherman's Warehouse of Kent Brown talking about a little thing. Let him tell you. All right, we'll be right back with Matthew Bray, the winner of the Lake Havasu KBF Trail event. So stay tuned.
Hey guys, Kent Brown, the host of the Ultimate Bass Radio Show, and it's time of year to start doing a little deep water fishing. Frog fishing should be about over. Top water fishing, winding down, and these fish are going to start moving off a little bit deeper, especially our spotted bass lakes and fishing even up on Clear Lake. It's a great opportunity to get out and fish on the rock piles a little bit. A jig for a lot of fishermen is kind of a holdup. A lot of fishermen have a problem jig fishing. They either don't know if they're feeling it right. They don't know if what the bite feels like. I get told that a lot when we're doing seminars. For years I've asked in my seminars for a show of hands, everybody who's caught a bass deeper than 40 foot of water. And a real low percentage of fishermen have ever caught a fish deeper than 40 foot of water. And we spend a lot of time in the fall and winter fishing for spotted bass in deep water, catching these fish anywhere from 30 to 70 or 80 feet of water, dragging a jig. And I've always thrown a lot of football head jigs. I've always liked all the way back to the Bobby Garland days when we were fishing the spiderhead jig. Ted Miller showed me the 1 ounce jig on my way to Elephant Butte, New Mexico in 1987 on my way to the Redman regional tournaments at Elephant Butte. Was the first time Ted ever handed me the 1 ounce jig. We were back in Arizona doing seminars on the way back, and it's always been a big part of my winter fishing is throwing that 1 ounce jig. But another bait that I throw a lot of now is this jointed structure head from Strike King. It is a jointed head, and I love to fish the rage tail, the rage bug on it, and that's all I'm doing. No skirt, nothing, just the rage bug. It's weedless, and once you get all the little tentacles broken apart on it, this thing's got a lot of action. Imitates a crawdad very well, and it is weedless. So I can fish this little jointed structure jig down if there's a little bit of wood, trees, even some rocks. I don't hang this bait up a lot. I can keep it on the bottom. One of the biggest keys when you're fishing this time of year is don't move the bait too fast. Keep it on the bottom. I keep a watch on my Lowrance depth finder. I run an HDS 12 on the bow of the boat. I keep an eye on everything that's going on, where the breaks are, where we start to fall off, and try to hold the boat right up over the top of it. And don't be afraid to slow down, drag that jig out there a little bit, and keep it on the bottom. You'll be surprised in the fall, the winter time, it's going to put a bunch of fish in the boat for you. You're going to Comanche, you're going to Folsom, you're going to Berryessa, Don Pedro, any of those lakes, dragging a jig around, dragging these rage tails, little rage bugs around, put a few more big fish in the boat for you.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know what happened, but for some reason we lost. We didn't lose Matthew. He's still there, but his video is frozen on my program. Granted, when I look at him here, he's perfectly fine. When I look at him in my window here, but when I go to the program, it's frozen or lagging or something. So I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully he'll change out throughout everything that's going on. But we do have him with audio at the very least, and I don't know, man. Something screwy. But in the meantime, man, congratulations on your win at Lake Havasu.
Thank you.
I believe everybody can hear you. Granted, all they see is you. It's frozen with a big smile on your face.
Great.
But it's better than nothing, I guess, right? So the KBF trail event down at Lake Havasu had 36 anglers. There were 41 fish caught. Third place, let me see, my pages are stuck together here. Third place went to Steve Buchner with 50 1/4 inches. Second place went to Tim O'Connor with 53 inches. And the man of the hour, Matthew Bray, won the whole gosh darn thing with 94.5 inches and a big fish of 19 3/4. And he was the only one to actually come in with a full 5-fish limit. Congratulations, dude.
Thanks, man. It was a good time. I was the only one to find the bite, so I got kind of lucky.
Oh, looks like we got you. Looks like it's moving. I can see you moving. That's great. I'm glad it kicked in. But yeah, it must have been pretty tough bite, or was it that wind? I did see videos from Richard that was the wind was just brutal, man.
Yeah, the launch was in pitch black, which I wasn't really expecting. Arizona, they pushed forward an hour. We started at 06, and I mean, you could hear the waves crashing, but you couldn't see them. And then all I had was a headlamp because in San Diego we can't fish at night, so we're not really prepared for that. And yeah, the launch was interesting with that wind. There was a lot of people that just waited an hour until the sun came up and then launched.
Wow, and you just braved it all, huh? In your new canoe. Do you happen to have a trolling motor out of curiosity? Did that help?
No, I was there was like 2 paddlers there, me and one other guy.
Wow, power to you, man. Power to you. That's awesome. Looks like your phone's blowing up. Everybody wants a piece of Matthew Bray, huh?
Yeah, that's work.
So with that, man, what do you do for a living?
I'm in the military.
Right on.
I'm an instructor, so
Yeah. Thanks for your service. We appreciate that. Everybody watching, I imagine, does as well. Yeah. So with that, I imagine that at times can help allow you to get a little bit of fishing time in when they're not hounding you, I guess, right?
yeah. I get a lot of time, actually, a lot more time than with this new station or new command that I'm at right now. So I fish at least 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, right on, dude. Right on. And yeah, so if you weren't aware, Matthews actually lives down in San Diego, so he gets to fish all those big bass factories down there where they plant all the trout eaters and everything. Or they plant the trout for the trout eaters, I should say.
I don't catch them. I watch other people catch them.
Hey, that's you still learn. I mean, at the very least, right? So how did you actually get started fishing, man? Not kayak fishing, but actually fishing in general.
My father's a big bass fisherman. He's from Michigan. I moved to California when I was, 1 or 2 years old. So they grew up in Michigan bass fishing, and I moved up by Oregon where it's all salmon and steelhead country. So we had one bass lake in the entire little town that I grew up in, and I grew attached to bass fishing. I just liked it more. So, going out when I was 10 with my dad, and that kind of kicked it off for me.
Yeah, looks like my glasses are giving a glare of the light, so I better take those bad boys off. So when and how did you actually get into kayak fishing?
I got into kayak fishing probably 3 years ago. I couldn't afford a bass boat, and I knew that, like you said, we're in a place, San Diego, where we have some monster bass, and I wasn't getting it done from shore. So saw a couple guys go by on a kayak. Went online that night on Craigslist, found one for $200, like an old ocean kayak, and just went for it. Bought it. Got out there, had no idea what I was doing. Learned all the hard lessons that everybody learns when they first start, and then that's pretty much that. Just got my pursuit, so I'm excited that I finally have a kayak that people actually won't laugh at. My other one was in real bad shape.
Yeah, I know what it's like fishing. We all know what it's like fishing out of a junker. I mean, not all of us get to jump into the, the Rolls Royce, so to speak.
Yeah, I actually went to that the Delta Trail tournament with you guys. I don't remember what month that was, but I came down there and saw your guys rigged up, and I was like, man, this is a whole nother level.
Yeah, and you think we're bad? You got to see some of the guys out in the East Coast, man. Some of those guys are even more.
There was a couple guys there, like a dude from Colorado, and he had a Hobie. It was all decked out. The LED lights everywhere, the charging systems put in there. I was like, man,
it's missing everything but radar and navigational beacons.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So with that, man, what clubs and circuits do you fish?
I do KBF. That's kind of my big thing. We've got our little club here in San Diego. It's growing. We're trying to get it to grow more and more, but we got to compete with the ocean, and the ocean, that's where all our kayakers go. So it's tough to get them off those yellowtail. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame them because it looks fun. They just go for sleigh rides around the ocean. But we try. We're getting close to. We're like mid-20s now for a group of bass guys here.
Yeah, as it grows and the purse sizes grow, they'll come. It might take a little while, but they'll get there. But yeah, it's hard. Man, we have people come through the shop in Manteca saying, "Hey, I'm heading down to San Diego. Go fish for them yellowtail or shoot, man, Dorado and everything else you guys got way down there." But all right,
yeah, hard to compete with.
So what kayak? So you say you're fishing out of a Pursuit, correct?
Yes.
All right, so you can answer that question. I'll have to ask that one now. So far, so good.
Oh yeah. I like it. I'm gonna get the pedal drive. That's the. This last tournament was probably the most miserable I've been paddling.
Yeah, David.
I used to enjoy it, but that was like the last straw for me. I was exhausted.
Yeah, David's been using using one that's kind of like a semi prototype, I guess.
Yep.
And he's been beating up on it pretty good. And he's definitely glad he's got it because somewhere out in the delta when the wind kicks up or the current from the the tides.
Yeah, that day when I was there, it was bad for the wind in the delta.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long, man. In an instant, it can change.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the wind, man. Where exactly is Lake Havasu? Granted, most people know, but not everybody. So let's go ahead and talk about where it is.
It's in Havasu City, Arizona, which was like a 5 hours drive for us. I rode with a buddy. I was passenger. We got lost like 3 different times. It was my fault, but we finally made it there. And they have a pretty good community there. A pretty good group of freshwater guys. So it was good meeting up with them, meeting everybody out there. They're pretty helpful too. Getting us in helping with anything food wise or anything like that. They showed us around the town and showed us some good spots on the lake.
Right on. You didn't try to fish from the California side at all, huh?
No. We fished right outside our hotel, a place called Mesquite Bay, which is no boat contact, no motors.
Okay.
So it's kayaks pretty much only. So, and it's all buoyed off. And we were told that it was the best, that it was the spot that all the boaters want to go to. So I had an idea that's probably where I wanted to go. And when we got to the launch in the morning, there was a bunch of other guys. So we knew we were in a good spot to start.
Right on. It looks like I got a bunch of people joining, but I don't see any comments. So it may or may not be my iPad here. Let me see if I bring it up on. Or this is kind of awkward. Let's see if I bring it up on my phone. If it'll show comments and everything. I imagine there are comments because I do have a bunch of troll friends. So
somebody had to have commented on those glasses.
Yeah,
that was something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Now I got 4 eyes or something stupid. Let's see. I wonder if I share it to my personal page if I can find it faster. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, I got 15 comments, but I don't see any of them. So let me share it to my. Oh, all right. All right, that's good. Good enough. I can edit the post later. Let's see. Oh, yep, there we go. Turn the sound off. There we go. Lots and lots of questions. Increase away. I say structure fan. Okay, there we go. You're live now. Team New Canoe. Yeah, Ramel says Team New Canoe in the house. Have you ever meet Ramel while you were up here?
No, I didn't. I wasn't part of the team until after, unfortunately. But I watched all his videos of rigging up that Pursuit, and man, that guy, he's got a rig, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude, he's definitely the mad scientist. He's earned that name, man. He's a machine. So with that, oh, there we go. Now it's close. Now it's see if it'll. There we go. Now I got comments on it. That's good. So, all right, on. So, what kind of fishery would you consider Havasu? Like, is it shallow, deep?
So, where we were, I had never fished there before. We first got there on Thursday like evening and just went out to check out some stuff. We had heard of some man-made structures that they put in, and so we went and checked out those. Those were in like 4 feet of water and no sign of bait fish or anything around there. So we were a little bit worried after that. But we had help from a guy named Martin Toomey out there. He helped out with showing us some good spots that he would recommend, and one of them was Mesquite Bay, which we had already kind of planned on hitting. When we got out there, it was a bunch of points that were in about anywhere from 8 to 15 feet of water. So, I mean, it's not too deep, obviously, compared to how we fish in San Diego. It gets a lot deeper. But yeah, they've got smallies, striper, largemouth. There was carp everywhere. So caught some striper for the first time. That was pretty interesting.
Any big ones?
No, they weren't big. They said they kind of head upriver, apparently. So the big ones are more north of the Colorado River.
I know. Actually, out of curiosity, you don't remember what the size limit was on a striper out there?
I don't remember.
Yeah, as I know up here, for the most part, it's 18 inches unless you go to like this one lake where there's no size limit and there's like a limit of 10 or something like that because they're trying to get rid of them. Granted, it'll never happen, but still.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I was just curious. Did you catch any smallies too, or did you catch all largemouth?
No, we didn't catch any smallies. We had some guys caught some smallies from our group, San Diego group, and pre-fishing. They were drop shotting and caught some. I threw a Ned rig pre-fishing, thinking I might pick up some. I didn't get anything, and throwing some bright color crankbaits pre-fishing, thinking maybe some points that they said some smallmouth were hanging out at lately, and I caught none there. I didn't see one. It was all largemouth for me.
Okay, right on. Let's see. So you said a lot of what kind of structure were you finding when you were fishing?
So I actually don't have a graph. My buddy who I rode with, has a graph. So he was we were side by side pre-fishing, kind of graphing, and there was about the area that we liked was about 13 feet deep, and they had, there was branches down there that we were pulling up with anchors. So it was just all sorts of stuff that looked like it was thrown in, trying to help the habitat there. That were just, they had cages too that they put down there. So every once in a while you'd lose a couple lures on some cages. But for the most part, it was kind of just a silt bottom. I even dropped my GoPro down to the bottom pre-fishing to see kind of what it looked like down there. And it was just a little bit of weeds up to about 2 feet off the bottom, but mostly just silt. There wasn't very much structure besides what they've been kind of throwing in to try to help out.
So it was pretty bland, huh?
There was some rocky points, but not very many. Not as much as I figured there would be.
Interesting. It's always good to hear what it's like, even though you picture it in your mind, but then it's
Yeah, we read about it, and then we got out there, and it was a lot different than what we thought it was going to be.
What kind of water temp you guys running out there? Do you know?
I think it was mid-60s. The last time we checked, it was like 65 was what I think we got on my buddy's graph. It wasn't, it's obviously colder than what we get here in San Diego. I think we're still 70, 69, but it was kind of what we expected and what we read and what people were telling us a couple weeks prior.
Was it really hot?
It was not. The weather it actually rained pre-fishing, and that kind of put them in a funk. When we were out with the locals, they said that was the first time it's rained in like 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. And nobody did good pre-fishing. I had caught 2. We went out with 8 people, and I was the only one to catch them. I caught 2, and then I caught a striper. But they told us that, the rain will put them in a funk, so don't get discouraged. And then the next day it was bright blue skies, completely different, but a ton of wind.
Yeah, it almost sounds like maybe they were like like a Florida strain, maybe, rather than a northern strain. Because I know northern strain, from what I understand, the northern strain they handle the weather changes a little bit better than the Florida strain, due to like their genetics and where they're from, so to speak. Florida, the weather seems to be pretty good. And
yeah, Yeah, they seemed to really shut down, and it seemed like all the local people that we fished with were telling us, you know, hey, the bite had been decent until this weather came through. So I didn't get too discouraged. Some guys were, but you know, every day's different. So.
All right. So what was the magic bait? What were you doing? What were your techniques? How were you slaying them?
When we first did the pre-fish, I was throwing it's a company called Skirmish Baits. I actually promote for them, staff promote for them, and they have a bait called the Crevice Critter. It dives to about 8 to 10 feet, crankbait, and got a real wide wiggle to it. Smaller profile, like a 2-inch profile, 3 inches if you count the bill. And they were hitting it pre-fishing. I lost 2 right at the boat. We actually had the wrong hook size. It was my buddy's bait that he had borrowed from me, put the wrong hook size on. And I lost 2, which it was kind of unusual. So I pulled the bait out, found out that the hooks were wrong, switched the hooks out, and then landed 2 fish. So I actually hooked up with 4 fish, and nobody else did. So I came out for tournament day and threw the same thing, and they were just crushing it. I mean, running it down the slopes. Once I found the right angle of this point, the slope of this point went from about 8 feet, and then it would drop down all the way down to about 13 feet. And whenever I would drag that crankbait from the shallow side down over to that 13-foot, they would just slam it. So I think they were just ambushing bait coming in from the shallows to the deep, and they were sitting right on that ledge. And once I found that out, the bite just was on fire. I mean, I think I caught 15 or 17, and everybody else was pitching toolies because the wind was so bad. They didn't want to go out there because I was kind of out in the middle of nowhere on this point. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was just right place, right time. I ran into a big school. I was throwing back, 17 and a halves, which I've never done before in a single day. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah, man. To know that you put the extra effort in and it paid off. All the guys who were a little squirmish.
Yeah, there was. I mean, one guy that I had seen out there, he was getting seasick. Whoa. He went and beached his kayak, and he was kind of just like leaning over. And this was before I headed for that point, because I hunkered down in the cove as well, just like everybody else, and fished there for about 4 hours and met that guy. I asked him if he was doing any good, and he was like, "No, I'm pretty sick, man." And I was like, "It's like, man, this is wild." He's like, "Yeah, this is pretty insane." But I knew that if I got to that point, the bite should be good, because we graphed a bunch of fish in that area. And we knew we had that slope that went down off that point. So I had to go for it. I didn't want to drive back thinking, man, what would have happened if I didn't? What would have happened if I would have went to that point? So I went for it. I had a 10-pound anchor, which I get made fun of all the time here. It's 2 5-pound weights out of a gym connected to a dog leash. And then I carabiner that in.
Hold on.
Yes.
You're not the only one, homie.
So Richard Penny makes fun of me for that anchor a lot, and the guys make fun of me. But it was I threw it over and it held out there. So it was just funny that I got picked on for that anchor a lot and it ended up working.
Yeah, it's I mean, I do have an anchor wizard. Actually, no, I don't. I donated it. I forgot. I had an anchor wizard, but I don't really ever use it, and that works just fine. Like,
yeah,
I don't use it. I don't ever feel like I ever have to use it enough, so it pretty much has stayed here. But whenever I feel like I might have to use it, it's just easier. Just drop it over, pick it up,
Yeah, it's always worked good, and you just gotta change. I use the dog leash, so I just gotta change out the dog leash every once in a while when it gets too much water in there.
Yeah,
but it worked.
Let's see. Any particular gear or equipment you feel played a role in your win?
Probably just that crankbait. They call it the A10A1. So I got my buddy on the phone after I caught like 3 over 18 within 10 casts. So he was the guy that drove me down. We were kind of working together. We wanted to go 1 and 2. And I called him on the phone, and of course he wouldn't answer his phone. He couldn't hear because the wind was so bad, and so he couldn't hear his phone. And finally he comes over to me, and I tried to give him one of my baits, and he was like, no, I've got baits just like it. So he was throwing crankbaits, same area, same depth, same line, 12-pound mono, and he got skunked. So that was the only thing I could think of was just something about that bait that day they wanted.
Does it have rattles in it or anything?
Yeah, it's got rattles in there. Yeah. But so he was trying everything, and I'd actually found a bait fish on shore because I almost ended up getting beached at one point. So I had to hop out and about waist deep of water and drag my kayak around this southern point to get out of the wind. And when I was looking, I was just happening to look over on shore, and I found a bait fish. So I went over, and I knew they had been busting the balls of bait fish in that area. So I went over and picked it up, brought it with me in my kayak, and then just opened up that crankbait box and found the one that I thought similar size that would match up. And once I started throwing it, that's kind of when it turned on.
Wow, you got magical little.
A lot of lucky things, blind squirrel type of thing.
When the stars align.
Yeah, exactly.
When the stars align. All right, so with that, if you guys have any questions, for whatever reason my iPad's being stupid, but my phone seems to be strolling the questions really well, so we'll keep that there. I'm gonna see if I can kick this fool right here. Hey, I got moderators, so if you guys are on your computer and you're moderate, do your job. Anyway, so remember, like, share, tag a friend, let everybody know you're watching. It helps us grow Kayak Bass Live and the sport of kayak bass fishing and the love, so to speak. And by doing so, you're entered to win a Fisherman's Warehouse gift card, which is good for all 3 of our locations: Manteca, Sacramento, San Jose, and as well as fisherswarehouse.com. So if you are not from the area, you can order online as well. So tonight's Easy 3Z is actually brought to you by Fisherman's Warehouse. Head over to fisherswarehouse.com or one of the 3 locations and grab tonight's Easy 3Z baits to use on your next fishing excursion. So with that, what are your 3 baits you will never leave home without? Never, ever, ever, ever. You can include the line, rod, reel, line choice, etc. What are your 3?
My favorite thing is the crankbait fish. So I'll always have crankbaits with me no matter what. Which in San Diego, for some reason, guys just don't have confidence in them here. Mm-hmm. Which I don't understand why. I always throw them. I'll always have a stick bait for sure. I like the Gambler lures. They have the Ace and the Fat Ace, and yet they're cheaper than the Cincos. So I roll with them a lot. And
okay, so hold on, we got to back up. What you have a specific style of crankbait or specific one you tend to pick more than others?
I like square bows a lot. That's probably my favorite thing to do, and just bump and structure. I throw out here shallow and just hit as much structure as I can here in San Diego. Right. That's probably my favorite thing to do.
How about a color?
What's that?
How about a color? You got a color choice?
For here, we got to go real natural, like as natural of a shad as we can get. So anything natural is best for us.
Okay. What kind of rod are you throwing those crankbaits on?
So I was throwing the one on the tournament with my just a cheap Quantum KVD, like Team Series, like $80 on Tackle Warehouse. That rod actually has probably landed me more fish than any other rod, and I bought it a long time ago. Just kind of like a starter rod type of thing, mm-hmm. On a budget with 3 kids, and I love that rod. And then the reel that I have on there is the Okuma Komodo.
Oh, that's a good reel.
Yeah, I'm kind of more of an Abu guy, but I got a good deal on that reel. It was like, $90, and it's originally a $200 reel.
It's like 250.
So, yeah, so I got it. I got it at can't remember the name of it. It was some fishing show, and I went there, and the guys were selling it for like $90. So I was like, yeah, I'll grab one.
Wasn't Passathon, was it?
No. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it right now. But it sits down here in San Diego.
Trying to think. Okay, so you said stick bait, and you like their Gambler. What do you throw your stick baits on?
I've got a St. Croix, just a Mojo bass. I like to throw it here. I like to throw it on spinning with just braid. We got lots of it. I wouldn't say it's Delta-like, but kind of Delta-like at my favorite lake, which is Lower Otay Reservoir. And all I do is pitch toolies with that rod. And then the reel on there is the Shimano Nasky.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real smooth reel. I like that reel a lot. And then I put on just 65-pound braid and just pitch as far back there as I can.
No leader?
No, here I was a big believer in leader in certain lakes here. I will, but in my favorite lake, Lower Otay, we got a little bit more stained water, and we got a lot of guys here that have fished that lake for 40 years. And so one of the guys that I had talked to when I first moved here told me not to worry about it. And I mean, that guy, he's pulling double digits out of that lake all the time. So I was like, okay, I got no problem with that. If I can stick with braid, I'll stick with braid. And I've never noticed any difference from anybody else that fishes leader compared to when I fish just straight braid.
Right on. All right, so you have stick bait, crankbait, and then you said, what was it? What was the third?
Third, I mean, I would like to say like a jig or a jerk bait, one of the staples, but I am probably the worst jig and jerk bait fisherman on this planet. So I'd probably go with like a whopper plopper as my third.
Right on. That's actually a good choice. The whopper plopper is pretty hard to leave home without.
Yeah, it's just fun catching them on that thing, man. They crush it.
Yeah, I got smart asses on here. Let's see. Right on. So, all right. So there's your easy 3Z for the night. All right. So with that, what's your favorite on the water technique? Spring, summer, fall, winter. Want to break it down to those four? Crankbait, 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 crankbait.
Yeah, but right now I'll throw big swim baits. That's kind of my thing in the winter.
Right on.
Especially down here. I mean, you've got a chance at 15 plus.
Yeah, so you're chucking HUDs.
HUDs, 250s, anything I get my hands on. I got a pretty decent swim bait selection. So that's what I'll be doing. I said after Havasu, that's the goal now, is just to go out there and just keep throwing and keep getting skunked until maybe those stars align again.
Wow, that's kind of what a lot of the guys here in NorCal are starting to think too. At least my group of buddies, we're pretty much thinking, hey, it's big bait time. Let's put away the fairy wands and let's go chuck and try to catch ourselves a double digit. Get ourselves in front of a magazine cover or on Bass Blaster.
Exactly. And I mean, you get 10 skunks and then that one fish, you forget about the 10 skunks real quick.
Yeah.
Plus, out of a kayak, that's an awesome. I mean, that fight, I can't even imagine what a double-digit, swim bait fish out of a kayak would be like.
Dude, man, I can only imagine. I caught an 8-pound catfish, and I about had a cow, thinking it was, didn't really know what it was until I got it to me. But still, just I can only imagine, knowing it's a bass, how much worse it would be. But anyway, so you have any bait modifications that you always have to make?
Hooks, I like the ST or the owner ST36s on pretty much all of my crankbaits. I switch them out, and that's just watching tactical bass and things like that. I started to believe in that changing out hooks makes a difference after you start to bend some cheap ones. So
Yeah.
I always have hooks on me, which was funny because during that tournament, my buddy put the wrong hooks on. So I always have a box of like 20 size 4s and size 6s with me. So it ended up working out.
Well, that's good. You were supposed to say trapper tackle, but it's all good. I'll let it go.
I actually haven't tried trapper tackle yet.
Yeah, I'm just giving you some.
I share every time, and I can't win. So
the trebles, man. The trebles are something else. I've heard of guys having trouble with some of the other hooks, but the trebles, I have not heard a single negative thing about the trebles so far. But
yeah, I actually did in that tournament bend one for the first time I've ever had that happen, and I didn't even notice it till I came in, but the rear hook on that crankbait was bent, and that was a ST36. The two times strong. So I was kind of surprised to see that.
Switch to a 3 or 4 now, huh?
Yeah, it might be a 3 now.
All right. So, what are 3 pieces of advice you would give any angler, beginner, novice, expert? What would your pieces of advice be?
For me, probably patience would be number 1. Especially here in San Diego, the waters are so pressured that we finally get guys to come over from the ocean, and they expect to just slay bass their first day, and it's definitely a learning experience here. And if you're not big into finesse, which I'm not a big drop shot guy or any of that. I absolutely hate it. But you struggle if you don't at least learn it. So that I learned it out here, and it took a while for me to actually pick up fish consistently. So patience would be number 1. Thing I like to do is work on weaknesses. So that was kind of a thing this year with the jerkbait and the jig that I was telling you about. I don't like to just have one thing that is my go-to for every single thing, no matter what the conditions are, which I see a lot of people do with like the drop shot. And then they got out there at that tournament and everybody was drop shotting. So it was like, it was pretty much all they knew how to do. And hopefully I can get better with the jig and the jerkbait. That's kind of my goal, is just to work on those weaknesses.
Have you ever tried just leaving all your rods at home except for maybe one of them?
Yeah. So that's I kind of got on a crutch of like the drop shot when I first learned it here, because I swear it was the only thing that would catch fish. And then after that happened, I left it home. I leave it home from now on, and then when we do little local tournaments here, I bring it, just because I may not stand a chance against some of these guys because they can finesse fish like crazy here. So that's definitely that's helped me learn how to just use different techniques. And then third would just be to have fun. Probably something that I kind of struggle with is I try to stay excited when I'm not tournament fishing, but it's harder to get out of bed for me when I'm not tournament fishing. Yeah. So I'm in that mode right now where it's like I just need to go out there and just have some fun,
No, yeah, you're not the only one. It's pretty common amongst people who fish tournaments.
Yeah,
you kind of lose that drive or fire, keep it fun.
And that for me, it's like I think it's just time to start taking out the kids and building this, building the future type of thing, because I feel like that's kind of gone away a little bit with our generation, unfortunately.
Right.
Or at least my generation.
How old do you think I am? How old are you?
I don't know, man.
All right. All right. Yeah. Do you have any other events fish this year, or is you pretty much wrapped up?
We have an event here in San Diego. It's just a tournament at a lake that I haven't fished in a long time called El Capitan Reservoir. It's deep and it's big, so I'll definitely be throwing crankbaits, that's for sure. But I'm sure I'll get beat by the finesse guys, because I swear that's the game here, unfortunately.
Yeah, I always want to throw the crankbait too. I always pretty much always have one tied on too, but man, you gotta have to pick up one of those big Skeet Reese Magnums that are like this long.
Yeah.
All right, so You got any sponsors you want to thank?
Definitely New Canoe, because without that pursuit, there would have been no way. I could have, with my old kayak, I would have got sunk with just how bad that was. And the stability of that thing. Skirmish baits, I mean, without their baits, I wouldn't have won that tournament. Like I said, my buddy was trying to throw everything else, and he was having no luck. And if anybody wants to get on that website and check out those baits, you can use Bray 10, BRAY 10. That'll save you a little bit of money.
Oh my God.
That's it for them. I mean, but without them, both of them came up huge for me, so I was glad to be a part of both of them.
Yeah, it's always good when your sponsor product is actually what actually paid off, so you don't have to completely BS and be like, I was using. Yeah, I was real happy about that, just because they're from Arkansas, Skirmish Baits, so they don't get a lot of people from the West Coast buying, and then I had a lot of people interested, guys running the baits in the pool after that. So yeah, I was checking them out, man. Looks like they got a lot of custom colors and whatnot, which is always cool.
The painter is a phenomenal kayak fisherman. His name's Dwayne Beatty. You guys have actually mentioned him on the show before for winning a bunch of stuff in Arkansas.
Yeah,
and he paints all those baits, and that guy's paint jobs are amazing. They're pretty good. Some of the best I've seen. That's kind of what drew me to that company. Was just I had a guy out here that was fishing them. He showed them to me, and I was like, man, those are awesome looking. And told me about them, and then I contacted them, and ever since, yep.
All right. Okay, so how can people follow you if they'd like to follow along with Mr. Matthew Bray?
Facebook, just my name, Matthew Bray, and then I've got a YouTube channel called Yak and Bass SoCal. Not Yakka Bass.
Yakin.
I don't want to get blamed for stealing a name, but pretty much every other name is taken. So
that's true. At least all the ones worth a hoot.
Yeah, and I'm just that's just kind of just a fun thing, something else to do type of thing. I watch Greg Blanchard, and I'll never be as good as that guy, but
yeah, he won, dude. He won this past weekend out of the IFMIS. It was a free event, but he still won it.
Did he?
He took it down. Yeah.
Good for him.
Fishing was tough, dude. I got 4th place with 2 fish.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, that's how ours was. If I wouldn't have ran into that lucky school, it was just as bad for us at Havasu.
Yeah, I pulled onto the spot I wanted to finish the day on. We actually started there in the morning, and I pulled up, and there was a boat just hammering on the school.
Oh, no.
I was like, they're like, hey, you can squeeze in if you want to. I'm like, nah. I was like, I shoulda, because they're pulling out 14 to 15 inches. It's like, dang, whatever. Is what it is.
I got lucky that there was no boats at that Havasu, but they buoyed that off.
Yeah, but lessons learned. I'm going to see you. I'm going to scroll through these questions real quick, see if anybody's got anything they want to ask you. Okay. Again, I want to remind everybody, share, share, comment, tag a friend, let everyone know you're watching, share the love of Kayak Bass Live and the love of kayak bass fishing with those across the nation. That's how we grow, and when you do so, you're entered to win a Fisher's Warehouse gift card, good for any of the 3 locations, Manteca, Sacramento, San Jose, as well as fishermanswarehouse.com. So if you're not in the area, and you can't shop in the stores, you can actually order online. Let's see. So when is the next SD Club event? Says John Skaggs. Said in December, right?
We're doing one this Saturday at El Capitan Reservoir.
All right, on. So it's soon, very soon.
Yeah, we have a, if he hops on like sdfish.com and just goes to the kayak page, he can learn some more information, or just message me on Facebook after this.
My dad says GoPro, but no graph. He says need to invest or someone donate the guy a graph.
Yeah. Trust me, I heard all about that out there. No graph. I'm waiting to. Those things are so confusing.
Come on now. I imagine you guys got somebody out there that knows how to use sonar. Message Matthew Brannon and have him give you the load on how sonar works.
Yeah, we do, but I haven't used one in so long. I used to use an old Humminbird a long time ago with my dad on our boat, but I look at them nowadays and it's like, everything is just incredible. But that purchase is coming before the national championship. Yeah, I have to get one. I don't stand a chance.
5 inches is what I would recommend, unless you can't afford it. But most times 5 inches isn't too bad. But you always want to get the biggest screen you can afford, always, because you'll end up regretting it. You get way more detail because if the way I explain it to everybody, this is a great tip for those who are new and looking to get a fish graph. So what happens is if the screen is say 100 pixels deep, I'm using a round number just to make it easier, and the depth is 50 feet. So for every 2 pixels represents every pixel represents 6 inches, so to speak. So if you have a fish and it's only this big tall, you're only going to get 1 pixel, right, or whatever. So now if you double that size and you make it 200 pixels in depth, and it's only 50 feet deep, now you have 4 pixels representing that 1 foot. So it's always better to get the biggest screen you can, and with the most amount of pixels you can, you get way more detail, and that's pretty much the way it boils down. The most simple way to explain it to people.
Yeah, and then brand-wise, I'm kind of stuck. I hear Garmin, I hear Lowrance, I hear Garmin, I hear Lowrance, so I got to kind of do my own little research on that.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what features you think you're going to use. Each company has its specialty, so to speak. Right now, it's really hard. I personally interested in the Humminbird, like their new Mega stuff, their side imaging, and they're using megahertz instead of regular kilohertz, and it's like the detail is so much more clear from before. Let's see.
Yeah, I gotta check that out then.
All right, let's see. All right, so you couch auctioners, I know what couch auction is, and you guys are trolling. So if they're on here trolling, just ignore them. They're just being stupid. They got nothing better to do. All right. Yeah, get a hook. My dad says get a hook. It's user friendly. I agree. They're pretty solid units. Hard to beat the price for a hook unit as well. Couch. Thanks, Holly. Appreciate it. Pedal versus power. Your thoughts? Oh, pedal versus power. What do you think, man?
Power as in like a trolling motor torpedo type of thing, or just paddling?
That's a great question. I don't know. Romel, come on, man. Clarify. I imagine he's meaning like maybe pedal versus paddle power, or maybe is he talking about like electric power?
So I had always loved to paddle, and would kind of argue against anybody that would tell me that they're going to get farther and faster in their pedal, which they will. But I like getting to places where the pedal guys struggle to get to a little bit, especially here in San Diego. It's at my favorite lake. The pedal guys always get hung up in places where I don't, and I just like the paddling. But after being out there on that wind and then thinking about Kentucky Lake and what that's going to be like, there's definitely a place for both, and it pains me to say that I'm definitely going to need a pedal system down the line.
Yep. The way I explain it to people who are just getting into it, I tell them I'm a fisherman, not a kayaker.
Yeah.
I'm a fisherman who uses a kayak.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be out there fishing than paddling.
Yeah. That's that and that was kind of one of the things I thought of at that tournament was how much time have I wasted just paddling against this wind instead of actually having lines in the water.
Right.
There was like a 50-50 split, it felt like. So that was kind of another reason where it was like it's time to ditch the paddle and quit living in the past and maybe just accept that these pedal guys may be right.
Yeah, but I mean, kudos to you. You still won in a paddle kayak, which is, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's definitely getting it's less and less as time wears on. Pretty much about the time, I think it doesn't matter as nearly as much is definitely like on a river system, so to speak. Where the guys can, especially if they're going to be, drifting down, down with the current, or whatever. That's probably where it matters a little bit less. But that is me, Californian, speaking from the experience of very little river experience. So take it for what it's worth. All right. So, all right. Well, with that, man, I appreciate you tuning in or coming on and joining us. I'm not exactly sure how long we've been running here. Let me check. We've been running for right about an hour, which is perfect. Right on. I'm glad to know. Glad when it works out. So, like I said, everybody share, like, comment, tag a friend, let everybody know you're watching it. It helps us to spread the love of Kayak Bass Live and the kayak bass fishing. Let me go over to last week's shares, if I can do this real quick, if it'll let me. I'm not sure if it will. Let me try. See if I can bring up all the. Actually, that's not the one I wanted. Probably should have had this prepped and ready to roll, but like usual, Wes slacking. There it is. Let's see if I can find last week's or the last show we did. Skipping that one. It was technically from 2 weeks ago. I didn't quite count the one I did last week. It just me kind of BSing, so to speak. I don't know if this sound's going to roll through. Hopefully it doesn't. It was about a month ago. Wow. So technically this is going to be a drawing for sharing a month ago. Thank you for doing so, those who did. And all right. Using the program I've been using, which is awesome. All right. So all right. Congratulations to Cody. Cody is the winner for the last one we did. And I'll send you a message, Cody. Imagine you're watching. But Cody is our winner. I'm not really sure how to show that he won other than saying, hey, Cody, you won. I picked one of the random shares. All right. So let's move along. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like, share, comment, win a Fisherman's Warehouse gift card. And we'll be back, I imagine, at least 2 weeks from now. I'm gonna try. I might be going down in 2 weeks because the winter kind of slows and there's not a whole lot of events going on, and I don't want to just feel like I'm kind of grasping at straws. When turn of season picks back up, we can definitely go back to once a week. But I think right now we're gonna be doing two a month, so every other week until everything picks back up. And thank you, Matthew, for tuning in. For coming on the show, and congratulations on your win again. And
thanks, man. No problem. I was honored to be on the show.
Right on, man. Best of luck in next year, and I imagine we'll see you here in NorCal, possibly for at least one event, which will be Clear Lake, and maybe we'll get a couple more.
I'll be there as much as I can. That's for sure. And
we're gonna try to. Hopefully, we get enough guys to come down there next year participate.
We'll bring it over 10 from here, probably.
Yeah. Definitely easier to convince the guys from down there to come up here than it is the opposite. But I don't know what the deal is. Anyways, again, thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back in about 2 weeks, and until then, love, peace, and chicken grease. Bye.